welcome back everyone to Red Spotlight for our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction and commentary series for the longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. fan that wants to come back on here and talk endlessly about one of our favorite shows ever. I'm Alexis and I'm joined of course by David. Last time we talked about episode 18, Frenemy of My Enemy, I believe it was called. And this week is episode 19, The Dirty Half Dozen. This is a fun one. Of course, they're all fun, but this is actually a pretty interesting premise here. This was, of course, broadcast on April 28th, my birthday. A day away anyway. It was always a new S.H.I.E.L.D. episode on my birth week, I should say. April 28th, 2015 to 7.24 million viewers. This was written by Brent Fletcher and Drew Z. Greenberg, both of which are reoccurring writers. So they both teamed up for this big episode. And of course, it was directed by another very famous person on the show. The one that directed the most episodes, Kevin Tancharoen, of course. This is a big cast. Obviously, our regular main cast includes Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Brad Dalton, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCastro, Elizabeth Henstridge, Nick Ludd, and Adrian Pilecki. And of course, returning guests, Kyle MacLachlan as Cal, Henry Simmons as Mac, J. August Richards as Mike Peterson, Deechan Lockman as Jia Ying, Ruth Nega as Raina, Jamie Harris as Gordon, Maya Stallion as Agent 33, Simon Casillas as Sunil Bakshi, Luke Mitchell as Lincoln Campbell, Henry Goodman as Dr. List, I'm out of breath, Christina Adams as Ann Weaver, Edward James Olmos as Robert Gonzalez, and Kobe Smulders returns as Maria Hill. Large cast. This episode received positive reviews, with critics praising Tancharoen's choreography and direction of the fight sequences, particularly the one-take fight, which we'll have a lot to say on when we actually get to it, and generally feeling positive about the film tie-in as well. It was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Visual Effects at the 67th Primetime Creative Arts Awards. Pretty cool. Let me make sure I didn't stop there. Okay. So here is some interesting information. Some interesting information that was put on the Wikipedia page, and there's a lot of stuff to cipher through in here. Director Tancharoen and the series stunt team, led by stunt coordinator Tanner Gill and fight choreographer Matt Mullins, created a previs of a fight sequence between the character Sky and several Hydra agents, in which it would be filmed in a single take. Tancharoen and Mullins conceived the idea while looking for a way to top the May versus May fight in Face My Enemy. That's such a great one. The executive producers were enthusiastic about the idea being used, and the actors, including Bennett, rehearsed the sequence on the prior weekend for a couple of hours at a gymnastics place. Because the series production doesn't build sets, till a couple of days before the shoot, or even the day before the shoot, or sometimes even the morning of the shoot. That's insane to even realize that. The stunt team was not able to coordinate with the art department and set decorators in the construction on the set. That's okay. Most Marvel movies don't even know what that is. So the fight sequence had to be slightly reconfigured on the day of the shoot to fit the set. Am I reading that right? A steam effect in the sequence proved difficult due to the special effects operator having to time it with Bennett's shooting. Working around a delay in the air canister system of several seconds, Tancharoen used a handheld camera, with the operator having to run all over the place with this really heavy camera on his shoulder, but wanted to move away from the Jason Bourne shaky cam style of filming, saying that because of his background in choreography, it's drilled in my head that the camera has to complement the movement of the action. The shot took 4 days to get right, with Bennett breaking her arm during the filming of the final take and having to carry out the rest of her fight scenes for the season with the injury.
Mm-hmm. That sucks.
Yeah, but hey, it was a great scene. Visual effects. For the destruction of the bus, this is what also makes it a pretty big episode, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s plane that serves as the mobile command center, series lead visual effects provider, Fuse FX, were able to storyboard and plot out the sequence earlier than usual before creating a completely computer-generated sequence in which the plane is hit by a missile while flying in the Arctic. As the plane is brought down, pieces of wreckage catch fire and burn as they fall to Earth. There is also a similar plane that flies through the airborne debris. It's a very complex sequence combining CG, effect simulations, and pyrotechnics, I should say. Series visual effects supervisor Mark Kolpak elaborated that doing fire realistically on television is a tall order. Says the person who would have to be responsible for getting Ghost Rider right just a few seasons down the line. You don't get the representation of what a real fire element looks like using software. But the guys at Fuse FX, those FX animators are, and when I say FX, I mean that's the actual name of the outlet, Fuse FX, like capital F and X, FX animators. It takes a long time and a lot of setup to get things right. And it wasn't just the fire. It was the smoke and the debris. And then it was the cloaking device and May in the cockpit. And it was May on a blue screen. Huh. It's interesting. I'm not sure how much blue screen they do use on the show. That's actually, I wonder if any of the people who are watching this or listening to this would have an idea if there's some kind of resource out there, or maybe just by eyeballing it. But there are some very obvious effects shots on the show, but not too many that I think involve blue screen. I know, and I wish they would have done it. I'm not sure if I know why they didn't go to an actual. I know in the season 5 finale, May and Coulson are left on a beach, Tahiti. Obviously, that's, I think, to me, one of the most obvious uses of blue screen on the show. It's a shame because it's a really big moment. I do forgive it because I'm pretty sure at that point they had no more money. I'm sure they literally had no more money because they just had to use most of their. I think that episode was like, they had to use everything they had to make that Daisy and Graviton fight look the best it possibly could. Plus, you had a giant spaceship crashing into Chicago. It's like, I'm pretty sure they just completely ran out of money to just go and take the crew to a beach, which, hey, when it comes to that, I understand. What I don't forgive is when you have hundreds of millions of dollars at your disposal and you don't even try.
Yep.
And worse, you try and yet it still looks like crap. Anyway, though, that was interesting that when we see that sequence later on this episode, May is actually, when we see her in the cockpit, it was actually just blue screen, which I didn't even realize that. Between Houdini and the particles we had to create for that one shot, a big giant virtual shot where we had a Quinjet come down and all the debris is falling all around and there's fire and smoke. That sequence was what the episode was about. It was a big scene to pull off. For Bakshi's death by Splinter Bomb, the visual effects team had created the effects before for earlier episodes, so they had that pretty much dialed in. Kolpak explained that Kassiandis was shot against green screen and background plates, and we added several layers of different erosion techniques, taking his body away and then having all the actual particles dynamically coming off of him as he moved. I think, to me, look, the most impressive kind of visual effects is like when you don't even realize an effect is happening in the first place. And I want to say that that's the second one, and we'll take a moment right now when we get to that part of the episode to see, but I mean, most of the effects that happen indoors, I don't really notice too much. So we'll see about that. All right, and then what else do we have here? I think everything else is just in response to the episode. We have some, I'll read a little bit of an excerpt for people who I don't really read as much. So, for example, Mark Buxton at Den of Geek gave the episode 3.5 out of 5, calling the Age of Ultron tie-in anticlimactic, and it felt like a bit of a cheat, criticizing how he saw too much of S.H.I.E.L.D's own storyline being left for the film to resolve, but said that all in all, it was a rather good episode. And he said that Skye really shined this episode and called her one-shot fight worthy of a rewind or two, while highlighting one of her biggest character moments in the episode in the episode was Simmons' decision to kill Ward. He positively compared Skye's one-shot fight sequence to well-known single-take sequences in the Avengers and Daredevil. Thank you. Calling it the very welcome TV equivalent of the air-punching, fan-pleasing moments often found in Marvel films. Joseph McCabe from Nerdist gave it a positive review, saying that the episode pulls off the neat trick of tying into Age of Ultron without necessarily feeling like it like an ad for it, and feeling like it benefited immensely from the skills of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s best director in Tancha Rowan and his choreography for the one-shot fight sequence. So clearly, a lot of attention being paid to that one shot, which it turns out, I'm so sorry, Chloe Bennett, but I guess you really had to break your arm to make that come to life. Anyway, I know that was a long preamble to get into it, but pretty seismic episode. Do we have any comments from previous installments before we get into this reaction? David, go ahead and go.
Yep, from episode 17. We got two big ones. I'll start with the short ones, though. First one's from Serenity Forever. Omni saw the I Saved the Girl reveal a couple weeks back, but still hasn't reached the Cambridge Massacre bit yet. I'm excited to see him realize how bad it gets for May in the framework because of it.
Yeah. Now, can we just take this moment to just appreciate Ami for what he does? I feel like, and he's, to me, I gotta be honest with you. I feel like these days, for those of us who remember the golden age of like the film YouTube space from 10 years ago, there were a lot of like really wonderful personalities to attach yourself to and like follow. There aren't as many these days, and it's even harder to find somebody like you really like, I think can connect with. He is such like an easygoing, real person. From the reactions that I get off of, and I see a lot of his reactions. I've seen reactions of his, not just from S.H.I.E.L.D., but also from the Bad Batch series. You mentioned that he had Superman and Lois reactions, so I haven't seen those because I haven't seen the show itself, but maybe I will one day. But I've also seen his movie reactions. I've seen reactions of his for Furiosa, Call Me By Your Name. He does different kinds of movies too. And I also just, I saw this one yesterday, as a matter of fact, for one of my favorite movies from 2011, starring Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling's Crazy Stupid Love, which was like really fun. So I love how, I appreciate any YouTuber in the space that he inhabits, like which is primarily a reaction channel. I appreciate when they don't just do the usual like superhero, like mainstream blockbuster action genre show. I love that, but there's a lot more to explore beyond that. And I appreciate what he does. And from the very beginning, to me, and I think a lot of people, I think who watch us would kind of already have like pieced together, why do we include his like take at the end of every episode of ours? Because I just think this guy gets it. You know, I'm not saying like he's right on every little thing that he says, but I think like his observations of what the show is doing, right or wrong, for the most part, I think are really well articulated. And I enjoy watching his stuff. So I appreciate that comment. And yes, I do watch as he goes through at that point. At that point, they're at he's at season 4. They just reacted to the episode where they realized, they've been switched. 4 LMDs have infiltrated the base, and this week actually that we're filming this is going to release the one which many consider to be the very best episode of the whole show. And you know the one. So yeah. Next comment.
Next one's from Jack Dubs. I think May's newfound ability in season 7 is directly linked to what happens in Bahrain, chiefly when Kadia dies. Her empathetic ability goes off like a radioactive blast and imprints in some limited fashion on May. The latent empathic ability then stays with May until her mortal wounding by Sarge and subsequent trip to Izel's dimension unlocks it. As for the hand dryer bit at the end, I will always love the fact that the audience is left wondering what Hunter is about to tell Fitz to do with it in order to make his escape.
I don't know if that made any sense to you, David, but it made perfect sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the reasons why Shield's a great show, and this is why I really wish more people would watch it, because like theories like this are wonderful, because this was never really explained. I don't think too well, but I feel like that explanation for what could possibly have happened is so well put together and scarily kind of really too believable to where, like, if they had come out of the mouth of a producer, I would have believed it. Like, that's how good it actually is of a description, because what they're saying is when she killed Katya, her abilities in some small way imprinted on May, but they were latent, obviously, because May can't have inhuman powers. Like, she just can't. That's not how it works. But when she crossed over into the Izel's dimension, and then came back, that's what happened.
I mean, I just thought of this. I wouldn't say it's the exact same, but if you remember in Jessica Jones, she gets mind controlled by Purple Man for who knows how long. And then it was revealed later on the show, spoilers, which, I mean, you should go watch the first season of it. It's fantastic. Basically, she figures out that she's immune to his powers because she spent so much time with him being controlled that, like, she just developed some immunity from him. So I can kind of see it like that. And just...
Yeah.
If someone wants to go about it scientifically, it says, like, no, that makes no sense. I don't care. But to me, like, that makes perfect sense, especially with May's abilities.
Oh, great comment. Next one.
Silva, typo in the title. Melinda is 2x17, not 1x17.
I saw that.
My bad.
No, and thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one. I'll go with Gary Marshall. The writers of this show do a wonderful job of developing characters. Less than 40 episodes in, and every single member of the OG S.H.I.E.L.D. team have gone through multiple events that have shaped their lives so much so that it is hard to imagine that they are the same people from the pilot episode. This week's episode naturally brings May's story to the forefront, and we get to the long hinted at story of what happened in Bahrain, and it doesn't disappoint. We've been given little hints here and there, but the truth is much more upsetting than we'd imagined. And to weave in the story into what is happening to Daisy and Jiaying at Afterlife is great writing. Yeah, I think we gave it like a lot of compliment for sure. And it's not just the main cast that get this reverential treatment.
Reverential, yeah.
Reina, possibly my favorite side character, gets another huge reveal in this episode when her powers are revealed. The way that the writers has dropped little nuggets of information from episode 5 when we first meet her through her fascination about the clairvoyant and inhuman powers. Her stories about
she is the clairvoyant. Yeah. She was the clairvoyant the whole time.
Her stories about what her grandmother, possibly another clairvoyant, told her right up until this point when it is revealed that she is the clairvoyant, beautifully written and severely overlooked by the Marvel community as a whole. Oh yeah, I mean, the whole show is overlooked by the Marvel community. But yeah, for sure this one too. And absolutely fantastic. Again, we gave lots of compliments on this episode. Fantastic writing to weave both Bahrain and the inhuman stuff together and foreshadowing Reina's powers. And in this episode, did they make it scary from her?
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Because then, like, oh, that's right. It's Reina who has this ability. And you're like, oh boy.
Yep.
She's never been one you can trust on any I mean, the only thing you can trust about Reina is that she'll always look out for her number one, herself. She's always been on her own team, which is like, you know what? That's an element that I appreciate about S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, you know, it very easily could very well be that in other like versions of this show, they could have just had like, you know, two different teams. Team S.H.I.E.L.D., Team Hydra. But what I love is that they always have like any number of characters that are like, they could be on one or the other depending on like whatever they need. So, and I always feel that makes it like really, really interesting to me. It's kind of like how when the Clone Wars brought back Darth Maul, And when they had him like form his shadow collective like crime syndicate, or I think, and then which later became Crimson Dawn, during the Clone Wars, it made it exciting because, that's why it's called the Clone Wars. It's not just the Separatists and the Republic. There's other people at war here too. There could be other parties here. Now, unfortunately, I don't think it ever came to fruition. For my personal opinion with Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that's a show that could have gone on forever. Well, maybe not forever, but like more than just like whatever happened. We all know that it was canceled and blah 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 blah, and then the finale was later redone like 10 years later. That being said, that being the case, at one point, because they could literally tell endless amount of stories, the show could have kept going and going and going and going, and that was an element that could have been further explored. But of course, things happen. You know, I will say, like, this is a brief aside here. I am not pleased with what Star Wars is right now. I'm not pleased with Marvel. I'm not pleased with Pixar or anything Disney. But I don't think anything has ever made me more put off than when the decision came down to cancel the Clone Wars. Everything else is kind of like circumspect, not really too big, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, do we have anything else to
one more.
read?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
This one's a long one from ShieldVids.
Oh.
Hey guys, I want to comment on the Theta Protocol helicarrier being a secret. The last time SHIELD used helicarriers...
David, can you stop real quick? These comments are from what episode?
17. Melinda.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I here. Okay, this is where I'm getting. I thought Melinda was last week. There was a whole other episode in between.
Yeah.
I just realized that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's why they can't be possibly reading them. Oh yeah, they are. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. The last time SHIELD used helicarriers, they almost killed millions of people in Winter Soldier, and they crashed and killed people on the ground in Washington. So hiding that completely from everyone makes complete sense to me. Nobody would trust it being used again, especially secretly like Project Insight. Which, true. Did not think of that.
Yes.
Here's an interesting...
I didn't think of it either, and that's a really good argument.
Mm-hmm. Here's the interesting thing about this episode and Jiaying history. She uses the story of Bahrain as a reason to keep her relationship with Sky a secret from her people. She used the saying, her people know what a woman will do for her daughter. But she's actually hiding her mistakes with Korra and the fact that she did something similar to the woman in Bahrain that caused her own daughter to commit suicide, giving her powers too early and keeping her at afterlife against her will. So hiding that Sky is her daughter is more about her fear and shame because of what happened and trying to keep people from possibly telling Sky about it. All her actions in this episode and past episodes seem to be trying to fix the mistakes she made with Korra. She let people leave afterlife, she let Daisy unleash her powers openly and showed her both the destruction and the beauty in her powers so she doesn't feel like a monster. She assured her that her powers would not hurt her, which I believe Korra was so afraid of being a possibility that she took her life. The Korra retcon makes sense when we see that Jiaying was always willing to hide her past from people, including Cal and Sky.
ShieldVids had that comment.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you for that. Seriously, this is why it is a crime. I would even say a crime against humanity. Why so many people just like don't even consider to look twice with what is it that they really have here? Because I think the real beauty about that is, and I'm sorry, I completely forgot about Korra. I wasn't even thinking about that while I was watching this. Of course, you're meant to not really know that she exists because, of course, they don't even have that idea when they were writing or even shooting the season. Mm-hmm. But what I think makes it actually work even better is like if you already know the end of the show and you rewatch this, and I forgot about it, but now that I've been reminded by ShieldVids, like, oh, that actually tracks. And then we can actually use that to inform us of where we are, where Jiaying currently is in her journey. Because so far what the show has let us in on is she was cut to pieces by Daniel Whitehall. And then she was sewn back together. But it turns out, like, in between, from the first time we saw Jiaying in the 1940s, when she was caught by Whitehall the first time, and then in the 1980s, right? In between that time, before Cal, which may explain why Cal may have no knowledge of Korra. I would even bet Cal has no idea about that, because I don't think Jiaying would ever talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But in between that time, Jiaying had her first daughter, and it ended so terribly. She got her powers, she couldn't control them, and in a way to prevent future harm to anybody else, she took her own life. Now, in any normal circumstance, that would just destroy a parent. You can't imagine, I can't imagine what that did to her. So that could possibly be like, she was just so unbelievably shattered by that, right? Then she finds unexpected happiness and renewed hope for a new life with Cal. And that love brings about Daisy. Until Hydra comes back, takes Jiaying, kills her, cuts her to pieces, and has her ability stolen from her, is dumped somewhere in a jungle. Cal finds her, puts her back together, but she's not the same. She would never be the same. But when she wakes up, their daughter has been stolen. You can make the argument that on some level, Jiaying was already a broken individual before Daisy ever came into the picture. And then being basically murdered by Whitehall and being brought back by Cal. By that point, I can understand that she would just be done on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't find out just yet. I want to say it's in the next 2 episodes that we find out like Jiaying's true intentions here. But considering that the whole of her life has been continuously made tragic because she's inhuman. When we get to the point where we are with her basically seeing how her daughter is going to be swayed by S.H.I.E.L.D. and what S.H.I.E.L.D. finally found their location, at that point, she's had enough. That would be like too much. At that point, she's been so... By the way, I hope this doesn't come across as me defending her. This is me just like explaining what her thinking is. Mm-hmm. I think anyway. That by the time... Because one of her final, I think, moments in the show is like, this is it. We're going to go declare war on humanity. Because it's never going to work out. And by that point, Jiaying's lived a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, her identity, and because people destroy people like her, basically out in the world, it's continuously disrupting her life. So that's a really... She is sympathetic. I think she comes across more sympathetic in season 7 when we see her again, because I think like this whole time we don't have any of that knowledge with Korra. When we get to season 7, then we were like, and even Daisy goes like, oh, it was more than just, which was bad enough, but it was this whole other layer which made an already tragic event even more tragic, if you could even believe that. Which is why in season 7, she finally gets to reconcile with her mom in a really beautiful scene. And then tragically gets ripped away from her when Nathaniel Whitehall... Is Whitehall? Nathaniel Malik kills Jiaying. Snaps her neck, basically. Really, really interesting, but I think what makes it really work and what Shieldvids, I believe, brought up is like you could slot that information in, and now reminding ourselves of that whole history, we could be looking at some of these scenes differently here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anything you want to add on to that?
No, you got everything.
Okay. Thank you, Shieldvids, and please continue to add in some more. Any of the people who have been commenting, I mean this. we could sit here and just read comments for hours and hours and we wouldn't care. If you feel like you want to add everything you want to get off your chest, please. No one's going to stop you. Anything else?
I don't know. I'm all good.
Then after 34 minutes, let's go ahead and get started.
Previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I need to get you out of here.
No, not yet!
I don't know if we ever said it, David, but like, again, we could sit here and praise the effects work on this show all day long, but like the effect that Gordon has to when he like basically comes in and out, it's a really good effect.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I need to go back and there was an episode of Live with Lil that I watched back in season 1. I need to go find the episode, but like Elizabeth got a question from a follower and they had a really interesting, basically not essay, but a really good paragraph about like how there were a lot of inhuman precogs. Raina's the first one here, but we also have Charlie the homeless man in season 3, and then his daughter Robin succeeds him in that. And I'm pretty sure there's like, and then we also have in season 7 we have Sybil, who is the Chronicom seer basically. And we don't know it, or at least we didn't know it, but we're getting some of our final aerial shots and also some of our final interior shots of the set here for the bus. So let's just like appreciate this while we can, because we've been like, season 2 hasn't used it as much. I think like, and you can feel that. But this is the last we're going to see this room, for instance. Mm-hmm. This is the last time we're going to see it. We're like finally breaking away the old vestiges of the original series here.
Mike Peterson, an ally. He's been working for me.
This is not helping your case.
We have a...
The way he says that. This is not helping.
I'm gonna ask again. Why should I trust you?
Because
no,
we
Gonzalez.
all have our secrets.
You see right here.
You have one sitting in the cargo hold of your ship.
Yeah. He ain't no saint either. He has his own secrets.
Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that the cow that we put out into the world is the same cow that I've seen here. The safe and user-friendly cow.
It's a great line.
Mm-hmm.
User-friendly. User-friendly.
That's a fun one.
Look. To me, that's part of like the charm of Skye's character. And it's lines like that again, I said this from the very first moment we started reacting to the show, right? Mm-hmm. That's like one of the easy ways like I fell in love with this character. And yet, for a lot of people, it was just like, and I'm not sure if like, you know, her saying things like that are like considered quips or quip adjacent. They're just like funny lines. But I don't know. I'm just like, I really try and understand what it is that people like see in her that they hate. And I just can't get there.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Personally.
What the hell? Welcome back. Who's there?
Especially with by the way, like, we haven't talked about it as much because I feel like literally so much happens in this season. Like when you think about it, like how much has happened is insane. But we have mentioned it in moments. I think in certain standout episodes, like with Melinda, for instance. But I have this, one of my visceral memories that, and I could already like tell like what made season 2 a far better season than season 1. I mean, obviously the quality, I think on every, like with every respect, it has gone up considerably. But I recall when I was watching this season, when I was showing Kyle anyway, this season, he did tell me like one of the observations he made is how much better the acting was, like overall. And not like he was saying like the acting was bad in the first place, but I think what he was really saying is that season 2 gave its actors more to work with to bring out a great performance. Like this season, I can't think of a single like comparing. Let's think of the characters that are returning from season 1. I can't think of a single character that like has not like leveled up this season because of their performer just like having more to work with. Like think of the work that Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Chloe Bennett, Brett Dalton, Ian DeCasterker, Elizabeth Henstridge. Like it's not easy to do their work. I mean, actors are like, I don't know how they do it, but like they have to take characters that we know and love and evolve them and still make us kind of love them. Maybe not love everything they're doing because of what the writing is being, given to them. But like, I'm sorry, but like for a genre show like this, I really am hard pressed to think of too many others that like allow their actors to kind of evolve with the characters themselves. Even how they play them is incredible. I mean, if anything, you can say that Coulson maybe is the most that has stayed close to his season 1 version. But Coulson's a tricky character because like he can grow and he can have like shifts here and there. He definitely has his own arcs, but I feel like of all the characters, he's the one that can't change too much because Coulson's like kind of one of those characters where you're like, you kind of want him to stay the same because that's his role on the team. Like he's the constant. He's like the heart, the everyman. And not that Coulson doesn't grow, not that he doesn't learn lessons. He does. And I think he also, with every season, you see kind of a refined version of what Coulson is. A lot of the other characters have some pretty big, like, moments that, like, take them to a different place. Coulson has that too, but maybe what Clark Gregg does so well is that he has to do what his other peers are doing, but then also still make this feel like the Coulson we know and love. It truly is, to me anyway, an unfathomable, like, mission to do. Like, I don't know how actors do it, but, I know there was like a common like attack thrown out there in the years since its conclusion about like, hey, should any of these people or characters be brought back? And they were like, well, they're TV actors. Go to hell. These TV actors, quote unquote, please.
Each of whom will shoot you without
Please.
hesitation. Remember that.
He's actually pretty friendly. Once you get to know him.
Again, this may be one of the last times we see one of the exteriors here of the bus. I think what's most interesting right now is to just see May and Coulson.
And Grant Ward onto the base. I hope this plan of yours works.
You and me both.
You finally come back and you bring Grant Ward onto the base. I mean, it's got to be an all-timer. It's just like, ew. And then this, ugh.
He's a
this is
Hydra
gross.
agent.
Not anymore. Now he works for me.
Says the Hydra agent.
My team came.
I suppose we should put this matter to a vote. Agent Morse.
What do you make of this? Going forward in the following seasons, like they don't really use this as often, and I'm not sure what the issue is here. Maybe it's because Coulson laxes a little bit and like is more open with like the secret information going on, but like I don't know. This also does feel like a bit of an extreme in the other direction. Like them having a board voting on every single issue. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
And then clearly the show abandons that because we don't kind of ever see it come into play. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, even this moment right there where they had to vote on it, it's kind of like, what's there to vote on? They have a Hydra base that they can look into and take it down if they wanted to, save some power people, possibly make some allies, but also give like their kind of strongest agent back with Mike and all that. It just feels like a no-brainer to do the mission, And if they want to argue like, oh, should it be a small team? Should it be a bigger? Should we just go in guns blazing and all that? Like that could be to me, that should be the more conversation, the important conversation. It's like, okay, I think it's no brainer here that we should do this, but how should we approach and all that? So yeah, it's weird.
It's like, look, I think you can appreciate, as we have come to find out, like they don't want to have a shield like Fury's was, because Fury's shield was brought down by Hydra. But their version of, I guess, the real shield, about voting on everything, it makes it feel like they just became the World Security Council, which, if you remember in The Winter Soldier, was that panel that Robert Redford invited over and killed. If you just have like a panel of 4 or 5...
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
That you've been lying to me.
Again, that's just, it feels like we're just wasting too much time to make a decision.
Now, can we put this behind us and go rescue them? Please?
I don't know if I missed it, but that one guy who like tried to kill Skye when she escaped the cabin, did he die from the...
No.
Okay, he wasn't there in the little council.
He was injured. They said that he was injured and in critical condition.
Oh, okay. So
but no, he didn't die.
Okay, he's probably still
we just don't need him anymore on the show. And that's the decision that I will stand behind 1,000%. We don't need to see his face anymore.
Maybe she's right. What I saw doesn't make much sense. Why would Coulson be working with Ward?
I hate how just already she wants to manipulate her powers to get what she wants right there.
Lincoln's in a dark room with 2 doctors. They're cutting into him.
I don't want to be put in a position where I'm defending Raina, but is she really manipulating things here? I mean, like, is it manipulation if the visions she's talking about are actually correct and real? Like, even there, she had a moment where, like, maybe she's right. Why would Coulson be working with Ward? So I think that was a little bit of well, maybe you have a point there. Like, maybe I'm not sure. I'm not saying that Raina doesn't do this, or maybe I'm not even saying that she doesn't do this all the time. And maybe I'm also not even saying that she's like playing something there here too. But I think it's tricky because if it was just like only manipulation, there would be no basis in reality or fact. But it kind of makes it murky, don't you think? If what she's saying is actually true?
This is your chance to get that part of yourself back.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying she's not using any sort of manipulation, but I mean, it is Raina, so
no, I mean, I think in that moment, like, yeah, what she was saying was true and all that, but like, I feel like she's putting on that innocent act now again. Before it was just, it was an innocent act before realizing what her powers were, but it was more so like, I want to suffer alone or something like that. I don't know how to explain it, but like she was putting on it wasn't even an act. She was just genuinely pissed off at what she has become and all that. Whereas at this one though, it's like she's now playing into this whole thing of like, oh man, look at me. It's like, I don't I'm trying to get an like understanding of like what my abilities are and all that, blah blah blah. But whatever information she can get, she's gonna use. And so for her to kind of go like, that's not right. That's not wrong, I should say. But then also the way she said it, it's like, oh yeah, why? It probably doesn't make any sense. Why would Coulson work with Ward? It's like that was already straight for Skye to be like, wait, you gotta tell me more now.
You sure about this?
Absolutely. This is something I have to do.
And for her to push, like, to see if her visions are correct, that's what gets her popularity within Afterlife, to be like, oh dang, she got this right. What else can you tell us? And that's how she starts building up popularity, I guess you can say.
What do we make here of Simmons? Just like, I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah.
To be fair, she's keeping her promise.
Yeah.
This is great. We finally got the team back together.
The way he said that. Yes, go ahead.
I think it's like it just makes more sense for her. I don't know, because like with Skye, I mean, obviously she should be pissed off, and she already got like her revenge with Ward shooting him 4 times and all that. It's like, all right, I didn't kill him, but I got to shoot him, whatever. And also she's dealing with a lot of stuff with her powers and her parents and all that, so it's like whatever. May, she was for sure betrayed, but I mean, I think in her mind though, she knew that whatever they were doing was going to end badly. Obviously not that bad, but you know, she just has to move on from it, and she's able to do that easily because that's just who she is. And so then there's Fitz and Simmons. Fitz, where we see him in the end, it just makes sense for him to be like, nah, I don't want to go that route right now. Especially as the seasons go on, though, that takes a huge turn. Where I think end of the series, Fitz would have probably done it. And also you can say like it makes sense for her to do this here now, because when Fitz becomes who he is towards the end of the series, she has to be the one to like, hey, you're going, you know, a little bit over the top here. Let's take it down a notch. And it makes sense for her too, because like he betrayed everyone. He hurt Fitz, like, you know, basically he's like separated them because they got separated because of him and all that. So it just makes sense.
And a family, and you betrayed us.
I know. It's what I regret the most. Not the lying.
Now that you mentioned that, it's just like, it's really, I never thought at this point when I'm watching the show, look at Fitz now. It's like, you would never think he would be the Fitz that we see in the final seasons. It's just like, what? Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Because there were good times. Right? Before.
Like everybody in the room was just like trying to like, is this guy for real? Like genuinely, does he mean what he's saying? What do you think? Does he mean it?
I'm still happy I shot you.
Yeah, me too.
Should I aim for the face?
Yeah.
Guys.
I don't really know. I think if anything, he's trying to say what he's saying so that nobody kills him during the mission.
Maybe. Well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Somebody will try to later on. And then, yeah, with Cal. And as you were saying, because of Reyna, and by the way, we began the episode with Jiaying watching her.
Why would you assume?
Come with me.
Yeah, Jiaying just like knows how to play Cal like a fiddle. Basically.
What can you tell me about her?
Reyna? She's manipulative, dangerous, deceitful. We had good times.
The way manipulative, dangerous, and deceitful. Yeah, anybody's idea of a good time. I mean, come on.
It's just like, oh yeah, she's awesome, but like in an evil way. So don't trust her. But you know, but she's awesome.
That's so funny. And then yeah, we forget the last time we saw these two together. They one was literally handcuffed to a sink with a pizza next to him and a beer.
You talked to Bobby yet?
I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have this now in this scene here. We don't really know it, but we're actually being introduced to another element we had no idea had been going on, because what's about to be revealed here is that Kara, before she was captured by Hydra, actually, you know what? So she's asking that for a reason. Bobby's asking that because it turns out, and they already know this, that's why Kara's there. They know that while Bobby was undercover at Hydra, she basically had to make a choice, which was, you know, what any SHIELD agent makes, right? Which is, which choice that I have in front of me that's going to save more people? And to save more people, as it becomes revealed, she basically had to sell out Kara's base, wherever they were at. And then Kara got captured, and then she got white-hauled with the whole brainwashing thing. And so off-screen, Ward and Kara were able to piece together. So I think you can make the argument that, like, before Coulson even showed up, at one point they were going to come for Bobby because of this information. And Bobby coming up to Kara, you could very much tell it's just like her feeling bad about the situation, which is like, because Bobby really is the reason for why Kara got captured in the first place.
Shoot them out of the sky.
Yes, sir.
We've been spotted. It's time.
So apparently that was blue screen.
Her
that
and
one little thing right there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Look normal.
Right? Right? Like, not even a little bit.
I've got visuals on the target. Buckle in.
It looks like the actual set.
Yeah.
I don't
Weird.
see, like... Now, this VFX, like, I gotta say, again, you be the judge of it, but, like, I think this looks, like, great for TV.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't tell us, but when you're watching this for the first time, you're like if you watch Ami's reaction, he was like, did I see what I just see right now?
Yeah.
They just destroyed the bus? Are you kidding me?
This was always the plan.
And then for Gonzalez to say that, this is always the easy part. And we got an all-timer of a line Coulson's about to drop right now.
Is there anything you can do about the drop?
Not everyone hired to believe with debris.
This next one.
Really starting to wish I hadn't eaten that Hot Pocket earlier.
I haven't had a Hot Pocket in years. They were good.
Yeah.
I mean...
Dude, they didn't even have to do this, but they did.
No.
Like...
That looks great.
That looked
what
awesome.
more do you want?
No, for real though. Like, they didn't have to do that. They could have just done it where it's just like each person's reaction to them falling and all that, and then just cut to, I don't know, sky, and have it slow down, get it, fade away the rumbling and all that, and then that's it. But no, they decided to use CG.
They went that extra mile.
Mhm.
Yeah. It looked great.
Mhm.
Again, just like...
Where's Kara? Exactly where she needs to be. Is List still here?
Which, by the way, that should have been a warning to Coulson's ear. Like, what? What do you mean exactly where she needs to be? That sounds like you're planning something.
Be careful, Gemma.
By the way, it's like, we haven't talked about it too much, but this whole real shield busting the door open and everything, it really has it's begun to kind of like reunify Fitzsimmons a little bit. So it's nice to see that.
Just like old times, huh?
Not exactly.
I love this reveal for Ward anyway. Ward has no idea what has even happened. Just to see his face, God. But it also, it's like, it did a lot of good, right? Her being with her mom in Afterlife, because she has like at least a little bit of understanding about like how to like use the powers that she has. But I feel like it should not be assumed, and I don't think anybody ever did, if you're paying attention, like that's not even close to what Skye can do. Like, not even close. She has no idea just yet. And I do love how every season there's a moment where like we do see her kind of like level up a little bit, like with how she uses her, even right now in this episode, she uses her powers to save Lincoln from dying, which she didn't even know she could do. And then here we are. This is the moment of the episode. Some would even say maybe the moment of the season. Like, look at this. When I first watched this, I was like, are they doing this? Because like, oh, they're going to do a one shot. Because remember, at this point, you got to keep in mind, where are we in the MCU timeline? Daredevil had just aired on Netflix, which had plenty of one shots. And then, of course, a year after Winter Soldier, like... Look. This is the spy that was trained by Melinda May. And here's the payoff for that. And she didn't even need to use her powers for that. Now, did she? Now, this, unfortunately, she just need to because, like, what else are you going to do? Like, she's not even sure what she's doing. Like, but she's just going to give it a try. And it worked out right here pretty nicely. But it also just kind of, like, because I was watching the Ami reaction too, like it really kind of suggests like, oh no, her powers are like amazing. Like her powers are more than just like making the room shake. And then Simmons is just like, yeah, you know what? That's it. We need to take him out of play. And to be fair though, I remember myself when I first watched this, like, Simmons, what are you doing? Like right now, use him. Like but then knowing what he does in season 3, yeah, like she probably was right to do. And then even knowing what he's gonna do, in the next couple of episodes, yeah, she really like, she fucked up, but like she like, and not like doing it right.
With you, monster.
Really interesting Ward's choice to just let her go.
You really have changed, Simmons.
I think it makes sense.
Again.
I'm disappointed
Sorry?
in you.
It makes sense, honestly, right there in that moment with that line.
yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah.
I find it so funny, though, because he's like, this is definitely going to hurt her if I say this.
Yeah.
Either come with me now or you're next.
God.
So it was funny. Fitz, so he's like, oh, shoot, wait. Oh, okay, she got it.
Agent Weaver, have our jets fire when ready.
You may fire when ready.
I was about to reference
like,
that.
come
Gosh,
on.
darn it.
Of course, right?
Don't deserve forgiveness. Kara? She does.
What I hate about him is like when I watched this the first time, I believed him. Like he Brett Dalton sells these moments so well. You're just like, maybe there are parts of him where there's still a genuine person in there. And then come to find out this is all a ruse. Like they do such a good job of like, because this is a character that you kind of like were, you know, was there from the beginning of the show. There's a part where you're like thinking in the back of your mind, not that they were ever going to fully redeem him, but maybe he could have been like a, I don't know, like an anti-hero or maybe, or just like this side contractor that would maybe assist every now and then. You know how the rebels sometimes use characters like Hondo Onaka or like any other pirates, right? But no, he continuously is himself, and that's why when it comes to season 3, he does something that was made me really fucking angry. When we get to that episode,
Unlocked and all yours. Go nuts. At least until Fury shows up and asks for it back. Oh, spoiler alert.
oh yeah, they have no idea he's alive.
Yeah.
They just realized that.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually, I remember he brought up Fury in this moment, but I'm like, well, it can't be that he got the box from Fury. What was the line then? But now I remembered.
And right now, we have bigger problems.
Does that mean you found it?
Just no matter how it ends up, you know, working out really with the next episode, I don't think anything will like take away from the fact about how this episode ends with what we're watching right now, knowing that later in the week there was an Avengers movie happening in 2015 when things are getting rolling and you're watching this. Daredevil had just happened. The hype was like all the way up here. And then for this show to basically just like, and we're going to set it up for you. You're like, are you kidding me right now?
Especially in this moment, like I was like rushing to get to the next Marvel movie. Remember, I missed Winter Soldier in theaters, but this moment right here, I was like, I gotta watch Age of Ultron.
Theta Protocol. Is it ready?
Yes, it is. Time to bring in the Avengers.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's watch Age of Ultron.
Yeah, we probably should, huh? That would be fun. But we probably should have watched Winter Soldier for last year. Last season, I should say. No, that's great. Let's just go ahead and jump into Ami's reaction.
My God, does this all happen between this and the next episode, or like at the end of the season? Because there's not much of the season left. How many episodes are even left in this season? 3 episodes. So does Age of Ultron happen between 19 and 20? I guess I'll find out if I just keep watching, but I'm just wondering like release wise. And what exactly is Theta Protocol and what is it? How does it link to Age of Ultron? I got so many questions. I want answers. Oh, it's so good. Reyna, though, is challenging the current authority, and especially now that her powers have been realized and she understands them and people understand it as well. And now she's just like, well, who should be in charge when I can tell you what's going to happen and you get to filter that through your own vote and say. Again, Coulson playing his own game. I love the way he played Gonzalez, though. That was fun. Yeah. Especially with accepting the phone call from Maria
Gonzalez
Hill
thought that he was
dropping
playing
that
Coulson.
bomb
Coulson
that Fury's still
playing
alive and just pieced out. I just love the way he's maneuvering around all of this. But we don't know what Gonzalez has stocked in his own, in the basement of their ship. What are they holding on to? The reason he kept May out of everything prior was because her husband was the only person he could talk to about his problems, but also that's kind of some muddy water, and he didn't want to stir up any of that trouble with her because obviously there's unresolved things there. Just another understandable secret that could have been avoided if we just talked things out. We still don't know what Theta Protocol is. She's still obviously upset about that. Everybody came together here, and I don't know how genuine Ward's actual attempt at trying to bury the hatchet really is. Like he said, he doesn't regret his actions themselves, but what his actions wrought. That it destroyed what was once a very strong, organic, fluid, high-performing team. Like, they were a family, and his actions did break that up, but he knows that he had to do what he had to do. It just sucks that the result is what it was. I do believe that none of it was personal. It was just him doing what he needed to do in the moment, whether or not it was right. That right and wrong is just beyond him at a point. Though it does feel like this whole thing he's tried to do with Agent 33, maybe he saw something in her that was similar to him. He was swept up in this life and molded by, what's his face, to be who he is. And that's what Hydra tried to do to her. Maybe this is his way of trying to, in his own way, try to fix something that happened to him, but to somebody else. He did all this wooing and all these gestures to put her back together from where Hydra had torn her apart, trying to undo the horrors that were kind of done to him that can't necessarily be undone by this point by him. So it's just like a point of growth. Unless there's something he did or implanted in her repairs, in her mask, or in her clothing, or in her body, even though they are checking on that aspect of it, that gives him like an ear on the inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just endlessly suspicious of Ward's and his motives, but it did come off fairly genuine, so I'm not exactly sure. But then again, that's happened before, and it's just been Ward doing his thing. And like he was telling her, oh, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing it for this, you, blah, blah, blah. But like you could see every time Skye came up and came into the question and into the conversation, that's where he was heading that way. And I think now that Skye is back in the field again, that's another reason he was like, okay, well, I can ditch her now. Maybe I'm just being too harsh on this psychopath, but I don't know. Skye getting to be with the team again, and she's on base. I don't trust Gonzalez at all. Why he's trying to hoard powered people now, of all things. There does seem to be an imbalance, because there's things that he's holding back from even the other people on their board. But, she's here. She's on the base. She's got a handle on her powers after just, I don't know how long she was timetable wise with Jiaying, with Lincoln and them, how much she actually got to practice her powers, but she did quickly get a handle on them just from a couple of little moments with her mother. Hey, a lot of that could be her own internal turmoil, her own identity struggles interfering with her own abilities. Like, her, like, as unsettled and unstable as she is, that too reflects in her powers. It could very well be this peace of mind, now that she knows who she is. She knows her real name, her birth name. She knows who both her parents are. They are both alive. She's got a bunch of people like her that are off in this retreat, and she's got to spend time with her family. She's getting pieces of herself put back together, and maybe that's making her more stable, therefore her powers less volatile. And like, she was able to just though she did like one shot and then went to gunfire, which that sequence was awesome. Like, that was some great action choreography with the gunplay there. But she could have very well just went and just fucked them all. So I don't know if she's got like a recharge timer or some shit, or they wanted to keep the action pumping. But speaking of pumping, she repumped Lincoln's heart with her powers as well, which was wild. Again, showing how far and how much Simmons has changed. Dude, she straight up was going to kill Ward. Like, she was flirted the idea, but she was going to. That's why I was a little nervous about how dangerous she was with the whole thing with Skye, is because she's like, that's a threat, kill it. And that's why I was worried about when she started being like, hey, Skye, are you a threat? After what happened with trip, man, and all that. I don't know. It just always has me unnerved. And Ward was like, I'm disappointed in you. Shame on you. You have changed. And just walked out. Bakshi, though, got Thanos'd by that disc. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. We'll see what happens.
I have some comments. For the first time, I'm gonna share. What did people, as normal as you can get, people put on the Reddit, for this episode when it aired 9 years ago. Well, actually, maybe even 10 at this point. When you think about it, Coulson is still bringing the Avengers together.
Nice.
Wow, I'm impressed that they did a badass single shot with Skye. She's definitely capable without her powers. I'm just a sucker for a long take. Coulson dropping the bomb that Fury is alive just put Gonzalez in his place. R.I.P. the bus. I thoroughly enjoyed Coulson's shitting on Gonzalez when he said that Fury would be coming to take his toolbox back, and then got the phone call from Hill. Gonzalez's face was priceless. I'm pissed Reyna got to see Age of Ultron before me. That's funny.
That's good.
Holy shit. Time to bring in the Avengers. Age of Ultron hype. That ending was awesome. And did anyone else find I'm not gonna read that. That's inappropriate. Okay, I'm glad I stopped myself there. Gemma really creeping me out with her sweet he didn't make it. That was, oh god. I thought her gift was spinning really fast to collect gold rings. I didn't know Skye had fire powers because Reyna just got burned. Oh god. God. Bus, you served us so well. I hope they put you in the Wall of Valor. That's hilarious. I know this was supposed to be an Age of Ultron tie-in, but does anyone else think it was a bit much? Right when Coulson handed Gonzalez Fury toolbox, Stanley appeared out of it dressed as Spider-Man and told us all to go buy tickets to the movie in 3D. Okay, that was somebody's dumb attempt to be funny, I guess. That sounds like a college joke would tell. A joke Kyle would tell. Damn. That. Let's see here. I'm still glad I shot you. Really love that line. Ward Redemption Train Choo Choo. Yeah, you have no idea what's coming on that one. Conscious Hunter is the best hunter. Oh my gosh. It's just more of what we were seeing here. That ending. Also love a little mention of the twins. Man, Ward's apology speech really tugged on my heartstrings. Made me want to believe, but I just have to remember the manipulative, psychotic Ward from before. And you'd be wise to take that advice. Lol, Hunter disgusted by 33 and Ward. Hunter's the best. Oh no, Silva's not gonna like that comment. Troll Ward strikes back hard. May is not amused. Fitzsimmons back in full effect, but Simmons is acting a bit crazy lately. Bobby is totally going to defect to Team Coulson any day now. Interesting. Skye compared Reyna to Sonic the Hedgehog. Fucking get wrecked, Reyna. Damn. We got the band back together. Deathlock lives. That's all I care about. God, these comments. Ward, I love you, man, but rest on the original team. Coulson is not amused with you. Gosh, they blew up the bus. Damn, Skye, you got badass as hell this season. Anyway, fun stuff. Quickly, I won't read the whole review, but Eric Golden of IGN gave this episode 8.5 out of 10, indicating a great episode, highlighting the reunion of the 6 original team members and their evolved dynamic. Despite what he called a contrived setup for that situation, he thought that using the characters of List and Hill to tie The series into Age of Ultron was the right way to tie the two together. It was also positive of the character beats for Simmons and Palamas. That's Agent 33's character. Goldman also made special mention to Tancharoen's direction of the one-shot fight, though he felt that Tancharoen's May versus Agent 33 fight from Face My Enemy was the superior sequence. And he also praised the visual effects of the shooting down of the bus. The AV Club's Oliver Sava graded the episode a B+, also noting that he has to take some shortcuts to reunite the original team, but the momentum picks up considerably once everyone is in the same room. Discussing the changes in the main characters from the start of the series, Sava particularly noted the development of Skye into kick-ass Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., I should say, and praised Tancharoen as the other director on this series that is really going out of his way to create memorable action sequences. Sava called the Age of Ultron tie-in overt, with Reyna's clairvoyance a convenient plot device to put certain pieces in place, but ultimately felt like those big screen connections don't interrupt the focus on relationships. Well, David, what say you? We're at the end here of our review. I mean, personally, I feel like this is when we get to this point, I'm not sure what more there is to say because we kind of say it as we go through it. But like again, this will, when we think back, what is, let's say, the legacy of this episode? There's so many great moments. Of course, I mean, reuniting the original 6 team members, blowing up the bus. You know, this is a noteworthy episode, as in like we have the reunified Shield. You know, a little bit here to see where we're going to go forward. Big, I think. If anything, more than just... I know before Skye had a little fight sequence with Agent 33 when she had the May face in the first half of season 2, but this was the first really big, notable actions, choreography, set piece, I think, of the whole show. Like, I think this is the point... Well, not the... I'm wrong. Since May versus May. May versus May earlier this season was like the first time we were like, oh, okay, you know what you're working with here. But with this is the first real moment for Agent Skye where like she has arrived. And I think it just feels so earned, especially when you consider that when the show first started, you're like, you would not think that this would be like a field agent, really. She cleaned up today. And then also, maybe more than anything else, this will always be the episode that we remember of like what basically was the hype machine or the hype man for Age of Ultron. So a lot of things to keep track of here. I'm going to turn it over to you, David, about what you want to talk about or discuss, or maybe was there anything that we missed today? I know that there were some other characters that we didn't talk about as much. I just want to turn it over to you, and what say you?
I mean, I feel like we hit on everything. But yeah, no, this is a great episode. They doing it again, where everything they built up is all coming together and all that, and just the episodes just move, you know. So, but yeah, I don't think we missed anything. I mean, how did it go? I like the conversation between Coulson and what's the other guy's name?
Gonzalez.
Just, you know, I mean, like I always say this with the dialogue, but like they just, whatever information we need, they get right to it, and they know how to make it fun. They balance out fun, but then also like it makes it this is how the characters would say it, with all Skye's quips and everything, and all that. Fucking collecting gold rings, oh my god, that's so good.
Or when she said the user-friendly Cal.
User-friendly.
I know, it's just like the writers are so good. Like, where do they pull this stuff out from? You know, again, to me, one of her best was one of her first, when, you know, in the pilot, when she was like, with great power comes a lot of something crap that we're just not ready for. Like, you know, because you're thinking she's going to actually say the Spider-Man line, and then she just makes her own Skye twist on it, which is like still one of my favorite moments of the whole show.
Yeah.
But yeah. Really weird stuff here. Of course, we'll keep an eye out and see. We can already see, you know, Reyna manipulating people. Which, by the way, we also saw Jiaying manipulate Cal very, very easily. Cal. You know, just playing the you know, like a fiddle, basically, like just to get him to get some more information with Reyna, and we know that's going to come to a blow very quickly. at that too. Well, I want to go ahead and thank everybody who commented earlier on. I would encourage all of you to comment even again with whatever you want to say. Thank you all for watching and listening, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.